Welcome back to the War of the Realms, right here at Comicstorian, the channel where we take some of your favorite comic books, video games, and movies, and we break them down into digestible bites, allowing you to get an audio drama of your favorite comic book pop culture characters in whatever light they might be in. Recently, we've been covering the War of the Realms storyline, and as a part of that, we've been telling some of the key tie-in issues and how it relates to what is going on in the overall War of the Realms event. Well, today, we're going to be telling you what Iron Man did before he got involved in the War of the Realms. How did he find out about this battle in New York that he needed to go be a part of? And if you enjoy this, please consider going to our Patreon, where you can become a Comicstorian Premium member and get early access to many of our videos, 3 days or more. Some of those videos come out months in advance over there, along with many other tiers for you to enjoy if you want to be a part of the premium membership. Either way, let's give you guys War of the Realms. Iron Man. The frost giants look up into the dark, icy night air of Jotunheim as a purple mist streaks through the sky. The mist swirls, finally landing, and as that magic dissipates, the mist drifting away reveals Malekith the Accursed. I smell elf. A voice hisses from the darkness, every word the sound of flames cracking over the roaring fire. Now why, after so many centuries of slumber, do I smell elf? A wide grin spreads over Malekith's evil features as he stops before the dark cave entrance. It's Malekith, Soldering, conqueror of the 9 realms. If I remember mortal manners, should you not be kneeling? The Dark Elf journeys deeper into the cave, greeted by the massive jaws of Soldering. He wishes to implore the ancient dragon for a boon, for his aid in this war. Only one realm still remains free of the Dark Elves' grasp, and he would wish that Soldering would take care of a single man for him. If this boil is so aggressively insignificant, why don't you lance it yourself? The dragon asks. He's clad in iron, Malekith explains simply. Yet Soldering merely chuckles at the elf's plight, for iron is the ancient weakness of the Dark Elves. Finally, Malekith bows before the mighty beast. He has gold, mountains of it. The dragon's great eye finally flickers open as he peers into the dim light of the cave. Gold, you say? Very well. I shall see him crisped. The mighty dragon runs his claws around the bed of treasure that he sits upon before hearing back. Where is the golden knight you speak of? Earth, within the bowels of the forge in Stark Unlimited. Tony, what am I looking at? Rhodey asks as he stares at a massive green bot that Tony's drones keep flying around. Hulkbot? Gamma Droid? I'm still trying to think of a name that won't get me pummeled next time I see the real thing, Tony explains with a smirk. Rhodey just shakes his head. He knows what it is, but doesn't understand its purpose. Tony walks through the lab as his drones finish the final details on the bot, and he pulls the golden crown off of the Hulkbot, trying to explain. I built this for Bruce, so that when he starts to rage, when his power starts to come out, it'll calm him. The crown is designed to control one's emotions. Are you sure you built this for Bruce, Tony? Rhodey asks, staring at his friend. The billionaire pauses for a single beat. Doesn't matter. The two friends begin to discuss the merits of the bot and of Tony's drones building more robots, but Tony thinks Rhodey should just lighten up. Suddenly, the Hulkbot comes to life, smashing everything around them. What am I? What am I? It screams as its massive fists tear apart everything around its existential rage. Shut it down, Tony screams, but the bot is suddenly overriding its own safety protocols and the drones can't shut it down. Bring me a gauntlet, he yells at one of the drones, and the little bot floats off quickly. The Hulkbot wraps its massive hands around Tony, ripping him from the ground. Luckily, the drone is there, placing Tony's Iron Man gauntlet on his hand. The beam shoots out, destroying the Hulkbot's head, dropping it to the ground. The two friends pulled themselves free of the rubble around them, with Rhodey pointing out that is why tech building tech is a bad idea. He's also worried that Tony is holding a crown that modifies behavior and won't put it down. Tony looks down at the piece of tech in his hands, and Rhodey knows that he had a drink in the virtual world during the Escape adventure. The videos you can find down below in the Tony Stark playlist. The one that he was trapped in and is looking for more dangerous fixes since he got back out into his own cloned body. Downstairs in the lobby, the security hologram activates, asking for the name and purpose of the visitor who strolls in, a staff with a flaming tip in his hands. I am Soldering, devourer of the flocks, lord of the wind and sky, and I am here to see your master. The ancient dragon, now in a human form, simply states, I am afraid that Mr. Stark has left for the day, Mr. Phlox. The hologram answers with a beaming smile, but Soldering merely shrugs off the issue, asking where the man keeps his gold. One of the security guards comes walking over, telling the strange man to leave, but Soldering lifts the man off his feet, choking him. I ask again, where does he keep his gold? He growls, his eyes flashing. I don't know, maybe Wall Street? The guard chokes out his answer. Meanwhile, Tony is flying across the city skyline in his car. Knowing that his friend is right, he needs someone to talk to, but Janet Van Dyne, his current girlfriend, doesn't answer her phone and it goes right to voicemail. Janet, it's me. I'm kind of having a rough day. Call me? He tells her before hanging up. The rest of the guards come rushing out with the guns trained on the strange man. Drop to your knees and put your hands over your head or we'll open fire, one of them yells. Soldering peers around at the weapons trained at him. My knees? How dare you? He growls, suddenly his body twisting and warping from the man to become the mighty dragon before them. Soldering bows for no man nor god. You wish my forbearance? You shall have none of it, nor my mercy. The dragon looms back, taking in a massive breath before roasting the guards in a blast of scalding fire. Rhodey runs into the security room asking what the heck is going on to Bethany, the head of security. 3 casualties so far, no Jocasta, no Stark on premises. She tells him as she orders the security details to back off at the dragon. Rhodey stares at the images on the cameras, finally turning to leave the room. He plans on fighting fire with fire and myth with myth. Is anyone gonna armor up? The head of security asks. The cat turns. Dr. Shapiro reporting for duty. Suit me up. Meanwhile, the dragon is crawling alongside the outside of the building, crying for House Stark. Bethany comes over, asking why the drones are defending the building. One of the tech points at their screen, and the computers run the drones, and the computers all suddenly speak Latin. The building groans and crumbles as Soldering smashes it with his fist. I will burn your stronghold, Stark. Face me, you coward. Quit yelling, you old school kaiju freak! Rhodey yells as he zooms in with his Manticore vehicle, firing weapons at the mighty dragon. The missiles impact Soldering's head, stunning the creature briefly, yet he swoops his wing like a blade, knocking Rhodey out of the sky. The Manticore crashes into the ground with Soldering quickly following. May you gods find you unrecognizable through your journey to Valhalla, he cries as he swings in for the attack. But he's blasted out of the sky as Dr. Shapiro suddenly jumps into the battle in his cat armor. The cat fires, but Soldering merely shrugs off the assault, breathing magic fire into the cat's armor. The heat pushes Dr. Shapiro back as the dragon presses his attack, and suddenly he stops as a voice rings out behind him. Hey, Falcor! Hands off the pussycat! Tony yells as he roars in with his armor, punching the dragon in the side of the head. The blow knocks Soldering across the courtyard, causing the ground to shake as he tumbles. You're trespassing, Toothless! There's a hefty fine for that. He jokes as he slams the beast with another blow, adding strength to his armor, knocking Soldering around. The dragon swings its wing, knocking Tony away again. I will have your castle in your corpse! Tony struggles back to his feet as the dragon rushes forward. Ready to die, mortal. Pass! Never repeat a good trick. I plan to kick your scaly rear like I did Fang Fang Foom a week ago. Tony mutters as he gets back to his feet. Hearing those words, Soldering suddenly stops short. Halt! You defeated a Foom? He asks, disbelief in his voice. He turns, seeing Tony's allies coming to his aid. I underestimated you, mortal, but I will return with the proper spells and leave you with the curse of wisdom. He breathes before taking to the air, flying away. Oh, and I didn't get you anything, Tony says as he watches the dragon fly away. The group finally arrives with Rhodey asking if he plans on following the villain. Let's kindle the lizard, Tony states, preparing to give chase, but he suddenly can't, and everyone is surprised as his armor suddenly begins to glow with magical energy. Later, Soldering stands at the street corner in his human disguise once again, his eyes watching Wall Street. He walks up to the building, stopped by an armed guard. Hold on a minute, sir. Can I help you? Soldering rears back, fire starting to break out of his hair and hands. Tell your masters that I am here for my $30 trillion. Hurry, morsel, before I get hungry. Back at Stark Unlimited, the group is staring at Tony's armor. Cracks have begun to form and strange magical energy is leaking out. Bethany tries to help her boss, telling him that they think that the dragon infected the AI with magic, which is directly linked to my armor. Tony finishes for her. He looks at his instruments, and his entire HUD is glowing purple, filled with arcane symbols. Believe it or not, it's actually worse on the inside, he jokes. Suddenly, everyone stares in wonder as the armor begins to shift and morph. Oh, for the love of Dumbledore! Tony cusses as he's suddenly standing in medieval armor, his repulsors glowing with arcane symbols. Rhodey keeps looking at his friend. Tony, we gotta track Soldering. Can you still function? Stark shifts, trying to get a feel for how the armor has changed. Magic is just a system, right? It has to have coding. So he turns, raising his gauntlet, trying to shoot a repulsor beam. The air sizzles around them and suddenly frogs are raining from the sky. I think you missed a line of the program, Stark, Bethany says as she brushes frogs out of her hair. It's raining frogs, Rhodey points out. I could see that. Thank you, Team Obvious. Tony lifts the visor on his armor as Rhodey tells him that he should stay behind. If he can't control his wardrobe, he's nothing more than a liability. But Tony turns to see the EMTs picking up one of the fallen guards from Soldering's attack. No, Hex or Tech, I'm caging that beast for good, he says. The visor snaps closed and Tony lifts into the air on a magical current. Energy wings sprout out of his back as he swoops into the air. He tries to call his girlfriend Janet again, but he gets her voicemail again. Janet, sweetie, I could really use your moral compass right now, he says as he flies to the city. But within Wall Street, the brokers all stare in confusion as the screen suddenly flicker and change. Strange words and Latin phrases begin to play across them. Suddenly, the building quakes as the mighty Soldering crashes through the wall. I've come from the frozen caves to take the king's gold, and I will burn every living thing until I may slumber atop it. Every coin and crystal. He bellows as the brokers all run screaming from the danger. Outside, Tony sees the destruction of running people, landing quickly to face the dragon. The building is dark before him. Illuminatus Gigantus? He asks the armor. And suddenly, the center light of his chest beams brighter, illuminating his way. Okay, there's no way that should have worked. He rushes forward to the building in his armor. Hey, Falcor! He cries, bringing Soldering's attention around him. He leaps forward, screaming the one magic word that he knows. Shazam! And bolts of magical energy fall from the sky, striking the dragon in a dozen spots. The beast falls, momentarily stunned. So you're a wizard as well, Stark! He hisses, but a toss of his wing knocks Tony across the room, smashing him into a wall. Massive claws wrap around Tony, bringing him down to the ground. I know what you're thinking, Stark. You're thinking of the women you have betrayed and oaths you have broken. The claw smashes Tony back into the wall, cracking the concrete with force. A drunkard as well! Vow to abstain, yet besotted yourself at the first possible opportunity. And the great Malekith told me to fear you. Tony's hands begin to glow with energy again and he raises them. You're not wrong, Soldering. I do keep messing up, but I'm trying to do better, and my hands are free, puppet stuff. The dragon begins to choke as his throat is suddenly filled with frogs. He reels back, releasing Tony, allowing him to fly away. Tony zips through the city, the bellows of Soldering's curse fast behind him. He gets over the radio, telling Rhodey to be ready. His friend is confused. Ready for what? Stop the repairs! We need to take Stark Unlimited back to the Stone Age, he tells his friend. He patches through to Bethany, telling her to pull the plug in everything in the office. Go dark! Do you hear me? Go dark! Stark, I come for your flesh and soul! The dragon roars as he swoops through the city, his wings clipping the buildings as he passes. Tony lands next to Rhodey, ordering his friend to run before turning to the Hulkbot. Hulkbot, I need you to tear this armor off me without hurting the nice man who invented you, he tells the drone. So the Hulkbot gets to work, with Tony explaining that he needs to go low tech. The dragon is a magical virus, just like a bug. Janet smiles as she flies in. Got your message. Brought your compass, she tells her boyfriend. Tony hugs her and then looks up at the incoming dragon. I'm gonna need about 4.5 minutes, he tells her. Wasp nods, giving Tony a kiss before swooping into the sky to meet Soldering in the fight. Tony doesn't hesitate. He runs towards Stark Unlimited. The Wasp flies in and out around Soldering's head. What manner of fairy folk dares put herself between the fire and the beast? He questions, but Janet smiles. You're so large and powerful, surely a tiny thing like me can't stop you. But Janet shoots one of her energy blasts into his eye, bringing forth a roar of pain. He makes a bite at her, but the hero is between his teeth and moves away quickly. Soldering flops to the ground, shooting forth a gust of breath to try and burn her. Why did you defend him, consort? You know his weakness, he bellows, and Janet keeps on the move, as she knows that everyone has a weakness. Soldering, let's pretend I pulled the sword from the stone, shall we? A voice calls out, causing the dragon to turn. Tony stands before him in the original armor, built to withstand anti-aircraft guns and rip apart tanks. Low tech, no AI. Tony comes in swinging, his fist connecting with the dragon's head, and he presses the attack, leaping up and cracking Soldering in the chest. The beast breathes fire, but it doesn't phase the Mark I, and Tony pounds him back into the ground. Blow after blow, the dragon's teeth start to chip and crack, and suddenly Janet is there, pulling Tony off the almighty Soldering. He's down. He's out cold, she tells him, trying to calm him down. With the danger over, the two quickly hug, with Tony struggling to tell her what happened to him in the virtual world. But they're interrupted as Bethany comes running over. She's getting a message from the Avengers. Something is happening in New York. You wouldn't happen to have an Elf Buster armor, would you? Tony looks at her. This day just keeps getting better and better. The conclusion to the Iron Man War of the Realms tie-in. Now, if you want more of War of the Realms, the playlist to that will be down below. If you want to know what happens to Iron Man, that playlist will also be down below. So check them both out. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And if you want more of these audio dramas of your favorite lore, please consider hitting that subscribe button and then hitting that little bell in the corner. Turn it on so you can get notifications and know what videos we're bringing out to you. Also, if you really like this content and you want to get it much earlier, along with a lot of podcasts and our manga formats and stuff like that, please consider becoming a Comicstorian Premium member, where you can go to our Patreon and get early access and a lot of extra content over there. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you next time right here.